Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And I am bringing you a little study today. It's called Early Morning. It's a 5x7. I actually painted this as I think it's a 14x20 as well. I don't know if I'm going to put that up. It's a painting I'm not ashamed of. I like it. However, I don't know if I like it as well as this study. And just going through the videos, sometimes I think I don't know if it works to have a study of an image and then the large painting of an image. So I decided I may just, do this or do that or mix it up a little, because why not, right? This is a bonus video for you, my loyal friend who likes to watch these things. And it's Wednesday here in New Zealand. It's about 8:30 at night, and it's September 13th, and my wife is out delivering a baby right now, so I have a little extra time, and I thought, well, why not just go ahead and do a video, because I'm always working on stuff, and I thought it might be good just to chat about what I'm up to. The texture thing I talked about in the last two videos, I think I got a little too carried away, a little too much texture, so I'm backing off of that, although I'm still very interested in it. I'm still digging it. I just think that it's got to be done a certain way, which it's going to take a little experimenting to do. I went ahead and invested in a bunch of MDF boards, which I had my ply guy cut up for me. I've got some sizes. I've got some 3.5 by 3.5s. I've got some 3.5 by 5s, 6 by 8s, which I'm really enjoying working at 6 by 8. It's a nice size. I didn't do any 5x7s or 5x5s. I've got boxes of those. Not out of MDF. That's in pine, which is nice, but not very expensive, so I don't mind working that over with some gesso. And where I think I got my first attempt with the gesso, I was just working with a knife, and then the later attempts I was working with a knife, and then I started working it over with the oil brush and adding a whole bunch of additional texture, and I think that is where I went a little overboard. So I've actually done about five or so paintings this way, and I think I'm going to need to varnish them with a matte varnish, that's for sure. So that's for one thing, because the light's catching all these peaks, and it's distracting, I think. Also, it looks good if there's a lot going on, but say in one painting there's it's actually a really nice scene. I like it so much that I think I'm going to do it again on a board that has less texture. And not that the painting with the texture is actually bad, it's just there's a large area of sky that's all one color, and it just looks a little not quite right. So but it's good to experiment. I think it's good to break out and not just always do the same thing the same way, although I tend to do that. I tend to do things the same way, but only for a period of time until I've just done it to death. And I can tell you one thing I'm not tired of yet. As you can see, the color we're painting on right now is burnt umber, and I'm still really into that. I'm really into that. I just like the feeling of having to work over the dark like that, and it's whereas the burnt sienna ground gave me more support in the sky, almost equal support in the sky and the land. In the burnt umber gives me so much support in the trees and the land, it's not even funny. So I can leave big expanses of this color showing, and it looks fine. So because it's basically the color of rich earth, it supports the greens really well. Grays look great on it. Everything looks great on it. I'm not tired of it. So Anyway, the other thing I've been into, like I mentioned on the last video, is I'm working on getting some of these studies. In fact, this will be one that's going to be for sale up on Etsy, and I've chosen Etsy. I'm done with Saatchi. In fact, I just deleted my account. If you're a contemporary artist, maybe it'll work for you. I'm sure it's working for someone. It didn't work for me, and I'm not knocking them or anything. It just wasn't working out. So I have had good success with selling my work online before, but there's a lot of limitations with the way I was doing it. So I'm looking at the thing with Etsy is that it's a huge site. I mean, it gets a lot of hits, a lot of visitors, which is good. But the downside, it takes more work to get seen and noticed. And I am basically just going to put a bunch of my best studies up there and sell them very reasonably. I mean, at prices in some cases that are maybe half of what they'd be for sale in a gallery. And the reason for doing that is just because I have a lot of studies. So today I'm going through the boxes of studies, and I've got studies. Well, they're not all studies. I mean, some of them are actually independent 5x7s that never got realized in any larger size. And I've been working with the 5x7 size pretty industriously since, say, 2013, maybe even 2012, so about 5 years. And so I have quite a lot. I had, I think, over 300 or 400 images in my folder. So now I've sold a lot of those. Not, 300 or 400, but maybe 50, 60, 70, I don't know. It's hard to say. I still have a bunch, and I have some that were maybe okay for the time, and I can tell you, I guess, one of the things that I kind of wanted to impart is that, when I talk about working all the time, and that's the only way to get better, it's really true of me and my work. I have to say, I'm looking at some of these studies from 2013 or 2014, and just seeing all the things with them, and the sort of half-heartedness, and not that I was ever half-hearted, but I was a bit shy with a contrast. I was in my desire to get the tonalist quality across. Sometimes things would be too tepid, and so first thing I did was I pulled everything out that I want to. Sorry, we've got a helicopter going overhead. We're right next to the hospital here. First thing I did was pull out of my inventory here at the house, which is most of the older things. I tend to like to keep the newer things in the studio since they're newer, and I always like looking at the newer stuff more. Maybe 100 I got together, and of those I pulled aside about 32 that I'm going to give a little punch up, a little redressing, and that's always exciting, actually, because it means that I progressed to a point where I can see how I can improve something that I had pretty much. The one thing that's been consistent in my whole painting career is that I always give it everything I have. That's not in question. What's in question is how much I know what to do. That will be something that looks really awesome, and rich color is good. Good strong contrasts are good. Anyway, I'm going to punch these up. I'll record some of those. I don't know how much. Probably it won't take me very long to punch a lot of them up. Maybe take 20 minutes or a half hour in some cases. But I record almost everything I do, so I'll record that. I don't know if I'll pass any of that along, but who knows? It'll be there for some sort of posterity. But and then there's pieces in the studio, and I've decided to really put some of my. This is in the studio. Actually, this is on a shelf in the studio, and I have some little stacks of 5x7s by the door there that people can go through. In fact, I just sold a really nice little painting to a couple from Nashville yesterday, actually, and Really nice painting. I'm always kind of sad to see him go, but on the other hand, I'm always happy to see them sort of find a home, and they're starting a whole new life, and that's exciting and interesting to me as an artist. You know, what sort of existence will the painting have when it leaves the studio? You know. Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to contemplate, and it's always interesting. Especially, this is one of the reasons why I try to eliminate bad paintings from my oeuvre, because it really sucks when I go over to someone's house and I see some old painting that I was just like, ugh, yeah, I can't believe it. I gave this to somebody. Anyway, and this is, you know, I was a commercial illustrator. I was doing professional work, but that didn't preclude me from doing paintings that were just not hitting the mark, funny enough. Another thing that's interesting, you know, going through the old work is you do hit high water marks and do paintings that are really good, but the overall content of what you did that year might not be so great. You know, it might be only a few standouts. That's one thing I've gotten better at, and I have to say I put so much of my improvement down to doing, first of all, that 100 Days of Tonalism project, and then the two successive projects I've done, 25 Days of Tonalism Volume 1, Volume 2, and I have been working away a little bit at Volume 3 here and there, which, don't fret, I'll have it. I'm sure I'll have it done long before I get done putting up videos of all of the Volume 2 stuff. I think we're on day 15, so we have another 10 weeks to go there. Anyway, maybe you take some encouragement from that, maybe not, but I think you know, whatever level you're at, if you keep working and keep working in ways that work for you, and change when you need to change, you're going to get better. And getting better is awesome, because we need to do something here on this planet, and getting better painting is what I like to do. Now, this is getting a little longer video. I think it's going to be almost 15 minutes, and I haven't heard any complaints, so I'm going to stick with it. But you thought I was rambly before, you know, we get even more rambly when we hit this point. This is probably about the point where usually I'd poop out in the past. But here I guess I'm going to talk about a video I saw that was a guy that was a student of odd nerdom, and not that he paints anything like this guy, but it was called The 7 Secrets of Odd Nerdom, and it was interesting. I mean, first of all, I don't paint that way. I don't paint the way these guys paint, and they paint from life. And this guy was a landscape painter, but Odd Nerdum is almost exclusively a person painter. He does have some scenes around his people sometimes, but he's really about painting people. He's very much of a modern-day Rembrandt, I would say, and he's totally awesome. I absolutely adore his work. And but one of the things this guy said, he was saying, well, you know, if you work with photos, you know, the main problem is you're working with limitations. You have automatic limitation out of the gate, and that's, for his way of thinking, not a good thing. What he likes about working from life is that everything's changing all the time, and so he'll take, you know, he'll do a painting, it's a summer painting, and he'll start it one year and finish it the next year, and he'll have to wait until the weather's the same and conditions are the same. But he finds that exciting, and I respect that. I actually totally do, and I get it, and I like to hear and watch movies about how other painters work and paint. But I have to say that with my method, I am basically applying aesthetics and a painter's sensibility to my photographic reference before I ever pick up a paintbrush. And the other thing I would have to say is that limitations are really a good thing. You could work with 20 different media on a painting, and you could paint a million different subjects in one painting, and you're guaranteed to fail. But anyway, it looks like we're getting close to the end here. Hey, thanks for joining me today. If you like this video, please click subscribe. I really appreciate that. Also, I'll keep you updated on my what's up with the Etsy site. There will be a link below the video if you want to check it out. I don't have much up there yet, but it's a work in progress. Anyway, I'll see you over this weekend. Meanwhile, please take good care and stay out of trouble.